Okay, picture this, a massive 7-story mansion, right in the heart of New York City. This is a place where presidents, princes, and billionaires are all gathering. We're talking the absolute peak of power and wealth. But, behind its doors, a really dark secret was being recorded. A secret that would, eventually, shake the entire world. This is the story of the Epstein files.
Right, and this wasn't just any old mansion. The inside was, well, it was a gallery of the bizarre. Get this, the entrance was decorated with dozens of fake eyes. There was a taxidermy tiger just sitting in the office, and as this quote says, a sculpture of a bride, just hanging ominously in the hall. This was the incredibly unsettling stage where Jeffrey Epstein entertained the global elite.
And then the bombshell dropped. The U.S. Justice Department released the Epstein files, a collection of over 3.5 million pages of documents. And this release, it didn't just create ripples. It was a full-on tsunami of information that threatened to drown some of the most powerful people on the planet.
I mean, this slide just shows you the sheer scope of the people who got tangled up in this. We're not talking about small-time players here. The files name presidents, prime ministers, actual royal princes, titans of industry, and yeah, even famous scientists. Epstein's web connected the most powerful people you can imagine.
So this begs the central question, right? How did one man, Jeffrey Epstein, build a web so huge and so corrupt that it literally ensnared the global elite? How on earth did he become so untouchable for so long?
Well, Epstein's rise was mysterious and unbelievably fast. As you can see on this timeline, he went from a college dropout teaching math in 1974 to a Wall Street assistant just 2 years later. By '88, he's advising a billionaire, and by 1998, he owns his own private island. This journey, from a classroom to a private kingdom, is a huge piece of the puzzle.
But here's the thing. He didn't do it alone. His absolutely crucial partner was Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the daughter of a British media tycoon, a true elite socialite. And their roles? They were perfectly divided. While Epstein provided the money, the mansions, the private jet, Maxwell provided the access. She used her high society Rolodex to recruit and groom the victims at the very heart of their operation.
So their collaboration, this partnership, it turned Epstein's private island, a place called Little St. James, into the absolute center of their criminal enterprise. It was so secluded, so notorious, that it became known as the Island of Blackmail.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates their horrific method. It was an organized, twisted pyramid scheme. They would target vulnerable minors, lure them in with promises of cash and a glamorous life, isolate them completely, and then exploit them. And the final, most twisted step? They paid the victims to go out and recruit their own friends, turning the exploited into recruiters themselves.
So this brings us back to those powerful guests. You have to wonder, why would the most famous and influential people in the world risk visiting a place like this? Especially when Epstein was already a convicted offender after 2008. What was the real draw?
The answer is chilling. It turns out Epstein wasn't just in the business of trafficking. His real business was blackmail. He was collecting what's known in the spy world as compromat, compromising material on all of his powerful guests. That's how he gained his leverage and influence. And here's exactly how he did it. Epstein had his properties wired with a sophisticated surveillance system. We're talking hidden cameras in every single bedroom and bathroom. A witness even testified that there was a media room with monitors showing a constant live feed of toilet, toilet, bed, bed. And when the FBI finally raided his mansion, they found a hidden safe stuffed with CDs, each one meticulously labeled with the name of a victim and the name of a powerful guest.
For years, this system of wealth and blackmail made Epstein seem completely untouchable. But eventually, the sheer number of brave victims who came forward, well, it finally led to his exposure.
But getting justice was a long, frustrating road. Just look at this comparison. Back in 2008, he was hit with federal charges, but he got a secret, unbelievably lenient plea deal. He served just 13 months, and even then he had work release privileges that let him leave the jail 6 days a week. It wasn't until 2019, after some incredibly courageous reporting by journalists, that he was rearrested and finally faced real consequences, up to 45 years in prison.
But Epstein would never face that trial. And this brings us to the final and maybe the most mysterious chapter of this whole story, his death. So, on August 10th, 2019, while he's waiting for his trial in a high-security federal jail, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead. This was the most high-profile prisoner in America, a man who held the secrets of some of the world's most powerful men.
The official cause of death was very quickly ruled a suicide by hanging. But, the story definitely does not end there.
Let's just look at the facts surrounding that night. 2 security cameras pointed directly at his cell mysteriously malfunctioned. The 2 guards assigned to watch him were later charged with falling asleep and faking records. And maybe the most telling detail? A forensic expert noted that the multiple broken bones in his neck were actually more consistent with strangulation than with hanging. The phrase Epstein didn't kill himself became a viral sensation for a reason.
And even with his death, the story is so far from over. Because while over 3.5 million documents have been released, the Department of Justice originally said there were 6 million. You do the math. That means about 40% of the files, millions of pages, are still being kept from the public.
Which leaves all of us with this final haunting question. Epstein is gone, sure, but his network of powerful associates, they're still out there. With so much information still hidden away, will we ever actually know the full truth? Or will the darkest secrets of the world's most powerful people stay buried forever?